Test. All right.
You know what? I'm just looking for fun. That is an objective. That's the number
Yeah.
one of all things. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just looking.
Just looking.
You dealing do any prospecting right now? You got
I
an objection?
have a family member that's a realtor. I might just reach out to them.
That's a good one.
Well, because I do a lot of the, showings for her, I do end up speaking directly with a lot of people when I hear a lot of it. So I've been dealing with it. I've got a friend who continues to look for investment property, so I do a lot of showings with very little outcome.
Yep.
So I take the one that she doesn't want to do. Keep them online, and find them, whatever it takes, something to affect.
So lack of motivation, would that be like maybe the fifth one that we'll
Yeah.
cover?
Right, he doesn't have to do it, but he wants to do it, but he doesn't have to, so. It's a matter of finding the exact right piece of property.
If you find me this unicorn, I'll move. I get
Yep.
that quite a bit.
And so this will be our guide, right? And so Luetta and I will just trade off, basically overcoming these objections. If you think of more,
Yeah, I know.
stop us,
I know.
right? Stop us. There'll be people that'll probably log in on Zoom and they'll, ask questions or raise their hands. But things that you hear from people. So these are the most common, right? So I'm gonna wait for rates, costs, prices to come down. I'm gonna wait for my kid to graduate high school, my kid to graduate college. I'm gonna wait till my divorce is final. I'm gonna wait, right? I'm gonna wait for whatever. My current payment cost is too expensive to move. I get this a fair amount, especially if you deal with the older population. So if they're 60 plus, you know, a lot of people, it costs them $700, $800, $1,000 a month to live in their house. Like they couldn't get into a horrible area in a rental at $1,000. It's like, it would be difficult for them to move out of their pretty nice house, right? That is maybe too much to maintain or whatever.
We have exactly that right now, with the older couple that really needs to move.
Thanks, John.
They don't even have. They need to get out, but they're afraid of, where they go in the meantime, if they don't find something right away and blah, blah, blah. Yep, so. So that's pretty common.
I'm just looking for fun, I'm just looking for a family member, I'm just looking for my daughter, right? I'm just looking for my friend. I'm just looking for my, sister who's moving in
Looking
from
because I like to
Arizona.
look at houses.
Right, I'm just looking because I like to look at houses.
I get
right?
that one all the time.
Yeah, all these. Family member or friend that is a realtor. So we'll overcome that one. And then look at, or lack of motivation, so, I don't really need to move, and you might deal with this a lot, like, when can they see the words, I suppose?
They can't,
They can't see
not yet.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, we will have a new camera system at some point.
So essentially, we're gonna draw a big funnel.
Well,
So
they
for
couldn't
those
see
of you
that.
those of you that are on Zoom, we're gonna draw a great big funnel. And I think when you're overcoming objections, the most important thing to remember is that real estate lead generation, follow-up, and overcoming objections, all just comes down to the funnel. When we look at 100 possible leads or contacts that we talk to 100 people, 80 of them will move someday. Now, someday could be 6 months down the road. It could also be 16 years down the road. Right? So this is just someday. 17 will go soon. Now, soon in today's market is probably like 6 months to a year. Right? So you talk to someone, they got a reasonable temperature, they kind of want to move, but they're not 100, they don't have a huge motivation, but they're moving soon, like in the next 6 months, maybe in the next 10 months. Markets in shift, the market's in turmoil. Last year, when you talk to someone, they're moving in 2 or 3 months. Right? So the market itself was speeding people up. So it weeded out all the tire kickers couldn't even they couldn't even say hi to someone. Because everything they called on was gone in an hour and a half. So they self-selected. Well, now we're into a normal market, or we're approaching a normal market.
we're not even in a buyer's market, right? Like, we're not even approaching balanced, right? Like, we're 45 days on the market. The market's considered balanced when we hit 6 months worth of current inventory. So almost no price range that you would show houses in right now is balanced, which would be 6 months. So the average would take 6 months to sell. And then 3. So this is the 3 all real estate licensed professionals can agree on. They want to do something now. Now, last year, now was 90 days. I mean, you could write 7 offers with a client, go still 1 close. Right, because you were getting beat, you were at great offers, right? 10,000 over asking price, 10% down conventional, you just got beat like time after time after time. So even if you had 3 buyers under contract that wanted to buy now, you might not win for 3 months. So this funnel is what we need to keep in mind.
Now, there is one, thing that I will say that is a little different than that. And that is what I'm hearing from like Gary Keller and others, that currently in today's market, you have to double down on the number of contacts to get the same results. So it is possible that you need to contact 200 people to get to 3 currently because of the market.
Well, or is it really, you still just need to talk to 100 to get to the 3, but the 3, instead of taking 2 or 3 months, right, the now business, maybe they take 6 months. And I think it's the same thing, like, and we won't really know until the market actually is over. So you never know until a year after it's happened. Right now, we're like, the market's in flux. So most of us that are doing it every day, all day, you hear all the stories about the market shifting and turning. In reality, you know, if you had a buyer for, let's just say St. Louis Park one day, and then you're in Cottage Grove the next day, the markets could be a little bit different in each one of those areas. So you're not even 100% no, unless you keep selling the same house in the same area over and over and over again. So right now, the market may be that if you're working in the, let's just call it the $300,000 price range, houses might still be selling in a couple of weeks, and there's really limited inventory. And then at 500,000, you have excess inventory and buyers that just aren't moving off of there. They're more of these excuses, right?
The only way to really know is if you track your numbers on a daily basis. So track your numbers for how many contacts you're getting, and then how many appointments are you getting out of those at the end of the week. You continue to track those, and then those are your results. That's your true results.
All right, well, let's overcome our objections. So you want me to go first and be the buyer, or you want to be the buyer?
I would be fine.
You want to be the buyer?
I can be fine.
Or seller or whoever. So first tell me what your objection is, and then we'll basically role play. I'll be the realtor, you be the buyer or seller or whatever you want to be, kind of like, you know, and again, in the chat, I don't know, you have to see the computer to see the chat.
No, right there.
It'll pop up there. So if you actually have an objection, type it in the chat. If you're online, if you're in person here, just raise your hand and.
We'll do a real one that I got when plumbing expired this week or last week. I don't even remember what day. So this person was listed, their home was listed, and it had come off the market. And when I called them, I asked my normal question, if I were to present you with an acceptable offer, would you still move? And he said no. I asked further questions, and he said, honestly, I can't get, once the interest rates moved up, I can't get anything that I want and actually make money or save money. So it makes more sense for me to stay.
Okay. So, based on that, so like your experiences so far, like you just can't get the money you want, so you're just gonna stay put indefinitely.
Right, and I asked him, what made you want to move at all? Why move at all? Well, I wanted a bigger place. And what was that location? Within my neighborhood. So he wanted to stay in the same neighborhood, just wanted a bigger house. Why did he want a bigger house?
Yeah, do you still want a bigger house?
Right.
So let's
He said
just,
not-
let's role play now. You be
Yeah.
that person and we'll just go through the, you know, basically the overcoming the objection is really like, try to talk them out of it. You know, the overarching theme of our kind of scripts and dialogues, you will notice, is we really want to get to what their needs are. And a lot of times we don't get their real need because we're trying to sell them. You know, we're trying to like talk them into doing this on Monday versus trying to talk them out of it and then really have them sell. And a lot of times what you'll find is they really don't have any motivation and don't want to move.
Or
Which
change
is-
their mind.
100% fine, because back up to this funnel, we really are just sorting leads. And so if we found ourselves talking to someone who doesn't want to move anymore, that's okay, we don't have to talk them into moving. We just have to sort people that no longer want to move into a different category, because he'll still move someday.
I think that's the number one thing that everybody needs to take away from this class is the conversation is important. And then the follow-up, just because they say no today, please follow up with them again. I will follow up with this guy because his mind will change again. He had, you know, so anyway.
So you say you wanted a bigger place. Do you still want to be in a bigger place?
You know what, the bigger place is secondary to making the money on this one, so it doesn't make financial sense for me to do it, so.
And why did you want a bigger place? Like, why get, like, you have, it looks like a really pretty good sized house anyways.
It is, and I am comfortable here and we don't have any problems. We were just thinking it would be nice to have each kid have their own room.
Okay. So is it really just the kids' rooms?
Yep, it was the kids' rooms.
And how old are they?
They're 11, 14, 16, and then we have one graduating.
So is it like for you guys, that's about where my kids are? Is it like you either do it now or you don't do it ever? Like,
Right, if it doesn't make financial sense, it just doesn't, it just didn't make sense. We thought we would be capitalizing on the market, selling our house and getting a higher price for it. But the only way to get an offer was to continue to lower the list price.
okay. And I'm sure you looked at the numbers, obviously, the house that you'd be buying, of course, got cheaper as well.
Right, yep, but with the interest rates going up,
The math didn't work
the
out.
math didn't. So it was it just financially doesn't make sense for us to do it right
Okay. So would you be offended if I just checked in with you from time to time to see how you're doing?
now. No, that's fine.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best. Based on that conversation, I would send them a handwritten card. I'd follow up in a month or two, right? So a C, so like when we have basically 3 plans, right? You got an A plan, a B plan, a C plan. Your A plan goes without saying, like your A plan, like I have some leads in that backpack over there. Those are my A leads, right? If they're scratched into my little planner, or they're in a folder that I'm working with, that's an A. Like that's someone that needs to do something like right away. All of us as realtors, you don't really have to have a like an actual documented plan for an A, because everyone knows what to do with someone who wants to buy a house or sell a house right now. It's the B's and C's. So what is the cadence for a B? Every 2 weeks. If you're confused as to what a lead is, it's always a B. So you talk to a new person, this particular person has identified themselves as like, I'm for sure up into like I moved from the like, I'm gonna move sometime soon, I have my house on the market, to I'm a someday. Which is 100% fine. So a C is every month. So if you look at your cadence of following up with people, your C's, call them every month, text them, email. Maybe you text, call, email like every quarter. So you text 1 month, you call 1 month, you email. Like you don't have to have all of them be the same thing. Look for ways to connect with people other than houses and real estate. And then you also always have, like you get a lot of your people calling you back because you just keep them set up on searches. It's like you can still keep sending them houses. And every once in a while, you're gonna shoot him a house that looks like that house that's bigger in his neighborhood that was 700,000 and now it's 600,000. The true math, so you can see that she was standoffish and I couldn't, like, if you could just tell her length, like, I knew I wasn't gonna, I've script and role played it enough with Louetta to know, like, I'm not gonna change her mind by anything I'm gonna say. And so a lot of times we have to admit that, like, that's kind of where they're at. So don't try to talk them out of it and then run the risk of like in the next 30 seconds, you train wreck the call till they hang up.
Right.
And we've all had that. If you've been hung up before, it's like, just know that you went too far or you didn't say something valuable fast enough. And you're gonna, if you make enough phone calls to prospect to people, you're gonna get hung up on, so you kind of get over that.
Yeah, you just have to know that even though this class is about overcoming objections, you can go too far, right? So if they truly, if their objection is it financially does not make sense, be okay with that. If you attempt to continue to go further with it, then you leave a bad taste in their mouth about you and they won't forget that.
And
That's just-
because the truth of the math is, from a financing standpoint, and we've all, like, if you're on this call and you're on Zoom, and like, you've had success with someone who actually looked at the math last year and the math this year, 90% of people will tell you the math is similar. Right? It is not different. I could sit and spar with the guy and tell him he's wrong, because I do believe he is. Don't do that. If you sense that they're kind of pulling back, let them be right with their information that really is wrong. Because you can't win them over by arguing with them. This is like your friend on social media that thinks differently politically. Like, you can't post a meme of a different view like loud enough to change their mind. So just be soft with people, because I think that when you're trying to convert and overcome objections, you gotta like really know when it's appropriate, when it's not. In this particular case, he or she is convinced that the math doesn't work. And I have to work hard to then tell them a story, right? So in my email that I would draft, that I could send to, say, 30 people that I have on the fence, it would be something like, just wanted to tell you guys a story of a person I was working with a year ago. They bought a house or had a house under contract at 500,000. This is their payment. Now the new price, they paid, they bought a house at 375, almost the same house. The prices were down 64,000, 65, whatever those numbers are. The payment difference on the old price versus the new price. We've all seen this on Facebook. I would discourage you from doing the blanket, take a picture of the meme and send it to the world, and send that particular real circumstance that you have with a real buyer or someone on the team or whatever, that you can actually say, this really did happen. And this person found it valuable. They sold their house for 50,000 less, but the one they bought was 74,000 less. The interest rate was higher, but in the end, the payments are pretty similar. Because in the olden days, they would have had to pay 75,000 more for the house, plus get into a bidding war, plus forego an inspection, plus have to pay their own closing costs. Like, we see the reasons why it's more advantageous to be a buyer today than it was a year ago. Now, if you're following up with your buyer that bought a year ago, they already think that they actually were, they really did win, right? Because they got their 3% loan or 4% or whatever.
But they paid $50,000 more than.
Right. Well, or they wrote 17 offers, you know what I mean? They had to literally get creative with their calling in sick to work, because there was no possible way for them to buy a house unless they actually missed work. I mean, you just couldn't, you know what I mean? There were so many people that you couldn't look at a house on Friday and then decide by Sunday.
One of the things that when you go into making calls to people, whether it's through Sphere, whether it's leads that are coming in through Google or Facebook, your mindset has to be that you want to help these people. It should never be to sell, like Jason said. The days of always be selling are gone. So you want to always be helping people. And by asking really good questions, it's gonna allow you to have a really good conversation, which then will develop a relationship that you can continue to feel good about following.
So I'm gonna be the buyer this time, so I'll pick one up here, I'm gonna be a buyer. We met at an open house, and I just think I'm gonna wait, and maybe wait because I just think cost and pricing and the rates, maybe I'll just wait until it gets a little bit better. So, hey, thanks for having the house open. We were just kind of kicking tires. I don't think we're gonna be serious about doing anything right now. Probably just wait a while.
What makes you want to move at all?
I think we're sick of being in a townhome. The garage is too small. I mean, that's honestly why we came here. It's a 3-car garage, and we're just sick of having to park outside and have our stuff in the garage.
Okay, do you have a 2-car currently?
Yeah, and it's more than 2 cars full of stuff, and the cars aren't anything in the garage.
That's like with mine, we have our garage full and the cars park outside.
Right.
So a third car stall would at least allow us to have one person in.
Yeah, so we always think about moving in the winter. But now with rates going up and prices, don't seem like they've come down that far yet. So we're just thinking maybe it's just better for us to wait, maybe wait for a better time, wait for interest rates to get cheaper again.
Perfect. Let me ask you, if I were to find a really good deal for you with a 3-car garage, is that something you would pass on right now, or would you want me to tell you about that?
Well, no, I think, yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be interested to know about it. I mean, where is that one?
Well, I don't have it right now.
Okay,
However, what I do for a living is prospect and I come across these people. So if you would like, I would love to follow up with you and show you those good deals.
oh, yeah, we definitely want to know about good deals. I mean, I don't think, like I say, I don't think we really want to do anything right now, but always good to know, get information.
Absolutely. Let me ask you right now, during the open house, it's really busy. People are coming in and out, so I don't have a ton of time. But I would love to sit down and just kind of understand a little bit about what your needs and wants are in a home. Would you be available on Monday to meet just for coffee? 15-20 minutes is all I need. We can meet at the Caribou down the road.
Yeah, that would be fine, I guess.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, and that's,
Super easy.
honestly, that's how simple it is, right? So I mean, because I think, just tell them it's okay that they wait. I think most of us spar with people, and that's kind of like, a lot of times that's really what does us in on a lead is it's like, well, we're just trying to spar with them rather than just agree with them for a little while.
Just agree with them, and provide them something of value. If I could provide you this, would that be of value to you? If it's not, great. So, you would pass on a really good deal? If they would pass on a really good deal, they're definitely not worth it.
Right.
I learned that one for me.
But the passing on a really good deal, like, it's like, as soon as she asked me if I would pass on a really good deal, I'm like, well, I wanna know. It's like the people that literally get all the coupons from their favorite store.
Now we could go any further because there are many times that I do the same exact script and they're like, well, you could just shoot them over to me in an email.
Yeah.
And then I would say, well, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for. Well, you could just send me any good deal over in an email. And that always stops. Like, okay. They're not interested in meeting with me, but if they are somebody that I will follow up with and say, last time we talked, you were looking for a good deal. We've got this duplex in St. Paul.
Right.
Would love to tell you about it.
The best way to convert those, or one thing that I've done with people is like, so that particular person. I find like a smoking good deal on a multifamily that is literally, like, say they meet me in a single family home. It's a great deal. It's not a great deal, but it's a good deal, right? It's a good house. It's 400,000. It's in Woodbury. It's normal 3-car garage. They're kind of looking for a single family home, but we got a great deal on a duplex. So if you search the MLS right now, multifamily for brand new listings that came on the market today. So anyone can do this search by the way. So Doug can do this search right now. He can post it on social media and say, here, I pulled all the multifamilies that came on the market in the MLS in the last 24 hours. Who do you know that wants to buy a house that makes money every single day? Like while you're sleeping, it makes income. Like, who do you know? And he can post that on social media with a link to the MLS that has those deals. Now, I pull those multifamily deals, 2 or 3 of them, let's say the best 2 or 3, and I email them to that person. I know we met the other day. I was just doing a search for another investor and I came across these deals and I know you said you would be interested in any deals. I'm not sure if you'd be interested in multifamily, but maybe you know of an investor. So I'm just kind of like giving them the out, like they're probably not even really interested. But now it's going to be a dialogue because there's a 90% chance she's going to respond to me because it's specific, it's real, it's actual houses. They have nothing to do with what they actually were looking at. Right, but it's you can weave into any conversation investing in real estate. Because there isn't anyone in the room currently or online on Zoom. There isn't anyone who hasn't thought, I think I want to be an investor, I think. They're not 100% sure if they really want to do it. They're not 100% sure they want the risks and liability that go along with it, but a lot of people are interested or fascinated by it. They're just fearful. So bringing that's an easy way to segue a normal buyer that you meet in an open house, or if you call them and they're just lukewarm, shoot them some properties that are brand new to the market that have nothing to do with their search criteria, right? Send people cabins. right? You meet someone at 400 or 500,000 in a house in Woodbury or in Lake Elmo, shoot them a cabin on some water an hour away. I know you mentioned that you'd be into deals. I just saw some brand new lakeshore. I was looking for another buyer. Who do you know? So the more specific you are, the more it causes them to think of that coworker at work that says, well, yeah, I want a cabin. Louetta wants a cabin, right? There's people in the room that think that they want a cabin. So investment properties, cabin, land, ever thought about building? These are easy things, 40 acres, right? 40 acres in Chisago, you can pull it up today, shoot it to someone who was looking at a $350,000 house in Oakdale.
So when you're going through your Bs and your Cs, your As you're talking to all the time and should be under contract if not very close. Your Bs and your Cs, you want to follow up with on a regular basis. The thing that I've found is you can send them like just blanket information, mass emails, whatever. But when it is personal, when you actually took the time to get to know about them and you make that follow-up personal, that's what's solidifying that whole relationship. So in the long term.
One of the best scripts that Louetta uses, and I think it's just when you're dealing with people who are brand new, you don't really have a great relationship with them yet. They're kind of a cold lead or a lukewarm lead. Just ask them if they are the type of person that would like, if there's a deal, would you like me to tell you about a deal or would you pass on? Like, well, no, I want to know about a deal. And then literally go outside of like what they're actually looking for, because you don't know, because they're not willing to sit down with you and really describe what is the deal. Now send them a few specific things that could be multifamily, investment properties, lakeshore, or a hobby farm or land. Because these are things, and we've noticed this, some of our best, our best lead providers, almost without question, number one would be vacant land. We list vacant land on purpose because it literally is the best. I mean, it goes across so many demographics because all kinds of people are thinking about building. And when they call on the land, they're usually pretty green. Like you have the ability to kind of get them at the first step. Like they're just calling on random land, right? They maybe haven't even, gone through model homes yet or anything. They're just kind of like getting their feet wet. And we've converted so many deals over the years by having vacant land listings. So vacant land listings are really good. If you tell people about vacant land listings, if you're on social media and you say, you know what, I was looking at a 10-acre piece of property for a client of mine in Hugo. I was just touring this 10-acre piece of property. They wanted to get horses and start a little hobby farm. Who do you know that's always dreamed of having a hobby farm?
And if you don't have leads and you have leads, like I know Jackie's got one up north, right?
Yeah.
And it's on acreage. Call everybody you know, Scott. Call everybody Jackie knows and say, who do you know looking for this awesome deal?
It'd be great hunting properties, so I've been talking to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Those are that when I saw her post that land, I'm like, wow, that's great. Some people would say, she went all the way up there to do a listing. Oh no, it is awesome.
Right.
We did Aiken. We did a property like that on Aiken, only it was a tear down house. And we got so many leads.
And it's, 75% of them are from the Twin Cities. They all have a dream of, doing something different, whatever. It's, at the end of the day, lead generation is about just cultivating that relationship. I mean, you're really looking to be that person's trusted resource. And, stop trying to be the trusted resource by the end of the call.
Right.
The whole goal of lead gen or lead follow-up is so that they will take another call. If your outcome isn't to try and convert them. I mean, would it be neat if every person you talk to scheduled an appointment and met with you? Of course. But if you get a few of those and the vast majority are just giving you permission to call them again next time, call them again in 6 months, 4 months, 8 months. I mean, it's a lot of it is just building that rapport with them over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 months.
Or longer.
Or longer.
I'm working with a guy right now he's been in the database for over 2 years. And next week, I'm gonna meet him.
I told you, I got a text message this weekend. One of our clients originally was he an expired call, Victor, or what?
They're using my expired I had,
sent
sent him
handwritten,
a handwritten card.
handwritten cards, whatever. He turned into a closing or two, sold a couple houses. He has a bunch more. And like he sent messages, you know, I've sent him all kinds of messages that literally never get responded to. I mean, he is a past client, but we didn't have like a super close relationship. There's a little bit of a language barrier and, we got his house sold, everything was fine, but it's one of those, like, if you ever had a closing where it's like, they're not your buddy after. It's like, sometimes they really are, like your friend, like you'd invite them over to your house. And then other times they're, you know, clients and we got along really well. Had all these follow-ups. Now for 2 years, I've done many follow-ups in 2 years, many, I mean, 20. 17 of them, I don't even get a response. You know what I mean? He's just busy, whatever. So the one I get like on Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas maybe is, I'm out of the country. Like I had just sent him a message like, hey, you know, do you want to talk about your condo? Or he sent the message about his condo, but then his next message was, I'm out of the country. Like nothing. I send him a couple more messages, like, let me know when it's a good time to talk. Well, then literally just on Saturday night, and this is like 10 PM, I'm back in the country. And that was like the whole message. You know, like, well, great, let me know, when is a good time to meet this week? Sounds good. And like, I mean, now that's it. And it's like, so it just, sometimes it takes 25, 26, 27 calls. And it's like, for those of us that have been doing it a long time, you just kind of like, just reconcile the fact that like, this is real estate. Sometimes it feels like you're just following up, like, is it too much? The answer is no, it's never too much, right? Until you have people every single week telling you to take them off your list, you're not calling enough or contacting people enough. I for sure probably could have followed up with Victor more. I just kind of do it every time I'm thinking about him or thinking about his neighborhood or his house. And he has a $900,000 house in Woodbury, been vacant since we sold his last one. So it literally just sits empty. He's never here. He has this other condo in Minneapolis, vacant. No one's ever there. I mean, just multiple $1 million properties that are vacant.
He
And some,
also is a gazillionaire, so to him, the $2 million properties, it's not a motivation.
it's
Like,
not a big deal. It's just the tax. It's like to him, it's just insurance and taxes. There's no real cost of holding that property as a storage closet. So everyone is different. When we think, okay, so let's go to, I have a family member. Do you have a good one or you want to ask me?
No, I'll ask you.
Yeehaw, my
So
favorite.
you are going to be, so I'll call you and your best friend is a realtor. Pretend you're Rick first. Pretend you're Rick first.
I'm the buyer. Or-
Yeah, you're the buyer and I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you, you're Rick first and your very best friend is a realtor,
Okay.
okay? Hey Jason, I noticed you were checking out some properties on our website. Were you looking for fun or thinking about making a move in the next couple of years?
You know, I don't know how I got on this search thing, but I just got the email, so I was just looking for fun. Yeah, if we did something, I would work with my friend for 25 years. I've been friends with, you know, a realtor that's, you know, been in the family, sold all my family members' houses, sold my house last time, so I would definitely use them if I did something.
That's awesome. Everybody seems to know somebody in the real estate business. So I hear that all the time. What I would like to do is be your number two. Do you have a number two person that you would use in real estate?
Not really, just a number one.
Oh, right. Well, you know what? I would love to meet with you just in case I could be of help in the future. Would you be available on Monday? I'm watching this, but you get the gist.
They may not, and if it to be number two, they may not be willing to meet. I don't think you're botching it. I think that like, if we think about them, right, we're probably not closing for the appointment to be number two. Now, I can tell you, I literally like avoid lenders and mortgage people like the plague. I mean, I get a call every single week. I'm sure all of us do, right? You just like, they're constantly calling and prospecting us, right? I have a meeting with one on Thursday and he really made me like, feel like I wanted to have a meeting. And maybe he caught me at a good time or something. Ordinarily, I either don't respond or I just kind of blow them off.
It was a referral from a friend. I think the friend did it to you.
It probably
This
did.
person that we both know
Yep.
told me you were the best person to call.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
And that really, I mean, that really was it, because I do see this guy at hockey from, a fair amount. In fact, I just saw him on Tuesday, or on Monday, which is why I got the email yesterday. So he ran into him, obviously told him, and then, boom, I get the email. I set it up for Thursday, I'm meeting with him. Now, the whole point is, you might be able to get this person to meet with you, but the easier thing to do would be to just segue and say, you know what? Would you be offended if I just checked in with you from time to time? I'll send you our info. We just want to be your number two. If your realtor is out of town, gets hurt and isn't available for 3 months, like if your neighbor needs to sell and your neighbor hates your friend, anything, right? Would you at least give us a chance at being your number two? And just being number two means you're going to add them to the database. When you think of your number two hair person, your number two nail person, your number two, restaurant that you go to. I mean, again, number two isn't always going to be like never, it's just less often.
That's good.
Stop trying to be number one. You don't always, and don't stop trying to be number one, and then always, like, you do not have to meet with everyone. You don't have to meet with them.
I'd say half of the time I was trying to set up appointment,
No.
whether it's for coffee or whatever. And the other thing is, if they say, you know what, I'm going to use my niece, my nephew, my uncle, my aunt. And that's super important to them, that it's gonna cause family drama, they absolutely have to. One of the scripts that Jason has taught is, that's awesome, and if you aren't comfortable with that, would you be okay if I did the work for you and still paid them for referral?
Yeah, and so this happened the other day, her mom's friend, in fact, I'm still trying to get it today. So last night I get the Dear John letter, I'm gonna work with my mom's friend as a realtor. Thanks a lot for all the paperwork you sent, and Janelle sent the listing contract on Friday, so she wanted to read it first with her mom, and, and so then I get the Dear John, and it's like, hey, I'm decided I'm gonna go in a different direction. To which I'm just not willing to accept no, and it's probably a problem that I have, so I call her right away, and I'm just like, hey, you don't owe that agent anything. You certainly don't owe me anything, but you do owe yourself the best. And so the thing that would cause me the greatest pause is the fact that her advice and my advice couldn't be any different. I'm telling you, you should go on right now. I'm telling you to get the house on the market because we're in a declining market and you could lose 5% by spring. I do believe that is actually what's happening in real time. I believe most homes have lost 5% in the last 90 days. So the next 90, I think, could be about the same. And the other agent is saying, wait till spring. Houses sell better in April through June, and you might get more money. We couldn't be polar opposite, right? And so this is what she said and why she's moving forward. And so all I said to her is, do you think her advice is correct? Or does it just make you feel better that she agreed with you and you just don't have to sell right now? You could do it later, which is originally what you wanted, was for it to just take longer. Well, yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that she said I could wait till spring and it would be better. The problem is that she's wrong. There's like a 90% chance she's wrong because based on the current math, I'm basing it on facts. I said, and do you know that your house has lost value in the last 6 months? She said, yes. I said, so is it likely that it could continue in the next 6? Like, it's probably not miraculously going to stop, since this is 100% being done on purpose, right? They're raising rates to slow the economy and the market down. So home prices are just a byproduct of the government's intervention. And so that's going to feel like a bit of compression, because for a buyer, it's all about affordability. And if a house sits on the market for 2 or 3 weeks, it just might sell for a little less. So it's a really big game of, so ultimately I could still lose it. She could go on in April. The other agent could be correct and it could sell for more. I think she's wrong for sure. So they couldn't be more opposite. So what I did encourage her, I said, if you really can't decide, then you really should have another realtor. And at least if nothing else, see if one of them confirms what either one of us said. And then you can decide if you wanna go with the first person that told you what your gut should be. If she has another realtor out, there's like a 90% chance, unless you're living under a rock and you've never sold a home. There's no possible way, if you've been doing this for a full-time career, that you would think that waiting 6 more months would be better financially for you as a seller. Because in no turning market that we've been through, has time helped you.
Right.
Houses don't sell for more money the longer they're for sale. And in a declining market or even a flat market, if the market were to go flat right now, in 3 months, she's in the same spot. Which I think is hopefully best case. Hopefully we do flatten. I think most of us that do this for a living would think and hope that the market will flatten out in the next 60, 90, maybe 120 days. But most of the financial experts are saying we could see a correction of values and the number of sales in the year 2023, which could take 6, 7, 8 months to flesh out.
Yeah.
And ultimately, she's moving regardless. She's a property manager. She has a place to move into. Any of her buildings that she manages have units. So she already has a place to live. And she definitely wants to get out. And the only reason to sell is to get the most money she can for her place before it goes down in value. So if you've already lost a little bit in 6 months, then don't wait 4 more.
Exactly. And more buyers on the market and more homes on the market.
Right.
Aren't gonna help you.
And she's in a townhome, and townhome values can sometimes be the most scary, because if you have 3 townhomes that go on, sale in the next 90 days in a neighborhood, they are all relatively similar. It's like single family homes, it's a little bit less likely that you have the exact same house sell in your neighborhood. Whereas a townhome, if you have, say 100 of them or 80 of them like she does, 3 of them selling in 3 or 4 months is pretty common. And if those values are down 5, 6, 7, 8, $10,000, it's down another 5% or 4% in value in just a few months.
Does anybody have any questions?
Any other objections people are getting?
I'm thinking about selling, but I'm afraid of all the costs that would be to put into the house in order to make it.
So do you know that you have a lot of work to do, or are you just kind of wondering if you?
Well, it's an older house and, I've just haven't really done a ton on it since we moved in, and honestly, because of the age of the house, I'm a really big use.
So would it be helpful to get together? I mean, there's no obligation with us. So if you want to sell now, or if you want to sell 4 years from now, would it be helpful to put together that list? And then you could decide, like, are these things I want to tackle in the next 2, 3, 4 years, or whatever your time frame works out to be? Would it be helpful to have that list of things that you should do that would add value, so that you don't do things that don't add value?
Yeah, I could see how maybe kind of having someone come in and really talk us through the things that are gonna be important that buyers would ask for.
Because there's probably, at least with a lot of my clients, they'll call us after the fact and you think, ooh, like, you didn't have to do new windows. Like, if you're gonna stay in the house forever thing, that could be valuable, but unless your windows are falling out of the house, like, you might just sand them and paint them versus replace them. And so a lot of times people will call us after the fact, and it's like, those things definitely did not increase the value, or they weren't as good as, say, carpet, paint, decorating, those types of things tend to be your best bang for the buck.
And what I will tend to say, because I get this one, I used to get it often when I was consistently prospecting. And I would say, you know what? There may be a handful of things that are going to give you a return on your investment. And then there are some things that you would do that unless you live in your house for 10 years, you're not gonna get a return on it. What I'd like to do is just come out, take a look, and give you a punch list. Whether you're going to move today or 10 years from now, at least you'll have that list and know what you should be working on. Does that sound good? Very awesome.
Yeah, you want to get a face-to-face meeting. You know, the whole goal in real estate is to have face-to-face meetings. So my meeting with this lender on Thursday, to get to know him, he works at a local bank. My whole goal is that he can get me into his network. Maybe he knows a builder, a landowner, an investor, someone I need to know, like, hey, who's your best investor client? Right? You're a private banker, like maybe your best investor client would like to buy a package of properties off market. So having that networking meeting, like going to meet with that client that wants to move, but just really wants a list, don't be afraid of those meetings. They're not now business, but they could turn into now business. And then what happens is Janelle's neighbor, her cousin, 3 ex-coworkers and a brother all move in the next 2 years. And she doesn't move, maybe, let's just say she never moves. But you get 5 sales off of one person that you just literally help put together the list and make them feel better. That's literally real estate. You're sometimes working for someone that will never pay you, but has the capacity to refer you to 5 of their friends.
The goal is to add at least 10 new vets to your database every single week. If you do that, you will, and then you follow up regularly, you will be successful in this business. When you read the red book, that's what it's all
And 10 every week is like, sounds overwhelming, because most of the
But
people.
there are, but you're meeting people, unless you're meeting, literally only come here and home. You're meeting new people when you're out and about. And so you just have to be purposeful about it and getting the information. And whether you get it now, or even just get part of it, and then you get the rest of it later, that's the most important. It's just
Calling for sale, calling for sale by owners, the easiest way to convert a for sale by owner is to just get a tour of their property. If they're not willing to tour their property, they are not going to sell their home themselves. If they cannot tour, and if you as a realtor are only trying to convince them to meet with you, to talk about hiring you to sell their house, you will never convert one for sale by owner as long as you're alive. You only have to act as if you're concerned about helping them find a buyer. Would you be willing, Janelle, would you be willing to pay me a half a commission if I brought a buyer that gave you a number that would work for you? Yep, because any person on planet Earth, if the number worked for them, of course they would pay you a part of a commission. They just don't want to pay the whole thing. They think they're saving most of it, some of it.
And I've even heard that now with expireds. I can't give you the exact script, but it's something that I just recently read, and that is the same thing. I'm not reaching out to you to list your home yet. I'm not reaching out to list your home yet. What I do want to know is, if you were to purchase a home, where were you hoping to purchase? And if you were to get an acceptable offer on your home, are you still willing to sell? Is that something that's still part of your plan? And just finding out that information, because when you take that objection off, like, I'm not listing it again, you just take it off. So I'm
Right.
digging into that a little bit more to see if I can tweak my own scripts.
Yeah, if you can ever get the meeting, I mean, the bottom line is you want to meet with people face to face, whether they're an investor, whether they're a seller, whether they're a buyer. You gotta get to know them and build a relationship that's built on trust. And if you don't meet with people, if you only, try to talk to them over the phone's kind of cold, you're texting with people. The only reason you're texting with them is so you can set up a time to have a conversation. You have a conversation, you're setting up a time to meet in person. If you don't meet in person, it's really hard to get those barriers. And, the longer you do this, the more you realize, like, some people, we've all had it, like, people are pretty abrasive and, kind of cold in person or over the phone. And then when you meet them at their house and you see that they're real people, the dog's barking and the kid's late for school and, whatever. I mean, people are just having their real lives and they're able to be more human.
We have 15 minutes left, and part of this time I wanted to make sure that we touched on not just calling, leads, but also calling our sphere.
Yep.
Or in dealing with those types of objections. And I think a lot of people have a little bit more experience of that, talking to the sphere. So, for scripts in contacting your sphere, I put one on the Facebook site, which is just, hey, I was thinking about you, just wondering how you're doing.
Joni always goes a step further. I saw you standing in your window or whatever, like I
Oh,
must have said
gotcha.
that one time during scripts.
No,
Drove by your house and I saw you standing.
So I was in your window.
Yeah, you don't wanna come across as creepy. You know, when you're, so what we have learned with calling our sphere or contacting people you know, if you can have a reason to contact them 4 or 5 times a year, that is not real estate related. So for us, we do a coat drive in the now, winter-ish time. We do a backpack drive in the summer. We do a couple of giveaways, so give away a cooler, give away a, give away a Yeti cooler, give away a grill, give away something, because you get people to register, give you reviews. It gives you a reason to just say, hey, haven't talked to you in a long time, doing this contest thing for work, wondering if you can help me out. You're not calling them saying, hey, just wondering if you want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Like, I've done that for years. I've done the whole, do you want to call here, or do you want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate today? That script has been so overdone, and I think that right now, you gotta like take a temperature of yourself, take a temperature of your clients. There's a tremendous amount of apprehension, anxiety, and fear about the real estate market and the economy. Okay, it isn't just us in the room, right? Every person that has access to the internet can see that Google, Facebook, and what was the other one? They laid off 27,000 people last week. In 1 week, 27,000 people lost their jobs from Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. Those are relatively successful companies, by the way. 27,000 people were escorted to the door and said, goodbye, we don't have a job for you anymore, because the market's shifting. Amazon, right? Laying off thousands of people. Right? I mean, a lot of us are buying stuff on Amazon, like they're still coming to your door every day, but the volume of business is disappearing for them. The volume of people buying stuff is going down 2%, 3%, 5%, 7%. So that means these big companies have to let go of people. So there is apprehension and fear about the economy. People have lost money in their 401ks, like, so.
Eggs have gone up $3.
Yeah, eggs are $9, you know. People, yeah, you see the real estate memes of people using eggs for earnest money. So if you have a friend that has chickens, by the way, I mean, even Tom raised his price on eggs to $5. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, opportunist. In the end, you need to know that that's the temperature. So stop trying to tell people it's a great time. It's a great time today. Holy cow, you should buy a house this afternoon. Just be real. Just be real. When people at hockey or your kids' hockey, grandkids, I mean, I see a lot of people like Judy at hockey. Someone says to me yesterday, how's the market? I'm like, you know what? The market's fascinating. So the market is fascinating. There's certain parts of it that are crazy busy. We're still selling houses in multiple offers. The multiple offer goes 5,000 over instead of 27,000 over. So the buyer feels like he wins, the seller feels like he wins. In the end, no one in this room has ever and will ever go to a closing where the buyer and seller don't feel like they won. It's not possible. Buyers and sellers don't go to closings where they don't feel like they won. They only accept and sign the purchase agreement if they feel like it worked for them. That's the summary of our job. So our job is to help them understand where they're at. Motivated people will still move. Will unmotivated people talk themselves into our current market moving? No. So there will be fewer people, which is why the National Association of Realtors, St. Paul Association of Realtors, every organization that tracks our industry believes, including Gary Keller himself and any other smart person that talks about it. The economy is going down, the market's going down, we're going to see rates probably stay flat or go up a little bit. We're gonna see home sales decrease. We're gonna see the realtor population decrease. These are all real things. Now, it doesn't have to be or include you. You personally, I personally, anyone in this room doesn't have to decrease with it, but we will have to adjust our effort, our activities, our strategies, right? It's no different than anything. I pity the people that have the work in hotels downtown. Did you see that biggest hotel ever in Minneapolis literally is in foreclosure, gonna sell for pennies on the dollar? A friend of mine owns thousands of rental units. Right now, he said so many buildings are in foreclosure in downtown Minneapolis, they owe more in debt than they could sell half these buildings. These big hedge funds, you think they're gonna hang on to them or are they gonna dump them? When they dump them, what are they gonna do? Create housing units or do whatever they can to repurpose them, because maybe as many people won't be working downtown anymore. So will they just, I mean, again, it's an opportunity. So what are we doing to get in front of opportunities? What are we doing to get in front of people to say, you know what, how can we help them accomplish their dreams? All real,
In summary, means get in front of as many people as you can every single day. And add people to your database, because unless you're out there meeting with people, the opportunities aren't gonna come knocking on your door. They're just not. You can wait, you can sit back and wait, but it's not likely going to happen. The most successful realtors, Jason, anybody, they all went out looking for those opportunities by meeting more and more and more. And the more people you're in front of, the more people that are gonna be like, oh, I have a sister. I have a brother. I know somebody looking to sell a commercial property. I know this. If you just talk to as many people as you can, and it doesn't matter who they are, whether it is a paper clip lead, your cousin, you know, somebody at the grocery store, just continue to talk to them.
and I think the mistake I made, and that's why I said it for Thursday, like this guy set an appointment. Yes, is it a little bit of a guilt trip because he knows a person that I know? Yes, and the more I thought about it for the last 24 hours, I used to always meet with lenders. Those of you that are on our team know that we work with a company called Maple. Maple only came because I was open to having lunch with a lender 15 years ago. All of that came from one lunch with one lender. Still to this day, it's the gift that keeps on giving to our team every single year. And that was lunch from a lender. So like maybe I need to actually like go have more meetings with more people to talk about adding value. Instead of thinking, well, I don't have any mortgage deals for that person, right? I didn't necessarily have mortgage deals for that person at that time either, but we worked out a way to work together. He ended up doing a deal for me personally on an investment property. And then ultimately we ended up doing the deal for Mape, and you know, it really worked out, but all of that came because of one call from one lender that I said yes to. And how many things are we saying no to, right? That we just don't have time for, or we just don't have the energy for. Might be that recruiting meeting with the person who you know for sure you're not recruiting this week. It might be that meeting with a seller that you know is upside down, maybe not selling, and the brother is a realtor. So keep meeting with people, get in front of people. And honestly, I think when you look at overcoming objections and scripts and dialogues, the reason this funnel matters more than any of the scripts and dialogues we went through is when you look at scripts and dialogues as a sorting tool instead of a conversion tool. This isn't about converting people. It's about sorting them into like, how can you help them? If they don't want to move for 11 years, why the hell are you trying to get them to meet with you on Friday? Like,
And that is why, when I'm calling leads, I celebrate their nurtures. Jason and I have gone back and forth with him. He's made fun of me endlessly about it. And there's soft nurtures where it's like they're long-term, and then there's people that you're, you know, like really needing to nurture quickly. And those are your people that you want to make sure you're following. So it's sorting them into different categories and knowing when to follow up. So, and then the last thing I'm going to touch on is mindset. Don't ever go into prospecting thinking nobody wants to talk to me. I'm just going to bother people. I'm not going to call them today. I do it all the time. I have to say things like, I am going to provide value to the people that I'm calling right now. I am providing value. I was telling Becky this the other day. I said, do you realize I pace in my kitchen, talking myself into how awesome it is to prospect? That I have to do that every single time before I get on the phone. And that is exactly why I don't like to be interrupted, because now I gotta do it all over. Because I have not met one person who loves picking up the phone. But if you know how to make it's a mind game.
I did that same thing, remember when we had that Gagne stuff and I was forced into doing open houses, I didn't hate them, I did them for like 15 years of my life and I got burnt out. So then when I didn't have to do them anymore, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing opens anymore. And then we got that project and I talked myself into it, I'm like, golly, like I got so much business out of doing those damn opens. You know, it's like, if you just, and again, it's like, you might not want to do it, but you want the benefits of it.
Right.
You know, it's probably like your yoga. I mean, like, it's probably like, no one like gets up in the morning like, damn it, I can't wait to work out. I mean, there's a couple people like that, but the vast majority just go do it. And by the time you're done, you're like, man, that felt good. Now, I don't have that feeling, but I know that,
But you could wake up
I
in the
could.
morning. You know how your thoughts run through your head, I'm just gonna blow it off today, it's too cold outside, it's this, that, and everything. And now you talk yourself out of doing something, you know is gonna make you feel better.
Yeah.
And that's the same way with cross-hatching. I'm just not gonna do it, it's too hard, it makes me crabby, blah, blah, blah. So self-talk matters. And if you can't, I just learned, I have visualized myself on a diving board. And I'm standing on the diving board, it's just a mind game that I've done since I started cross-sector. And I'm like, there's this huge body of water, I don't really wanna jump into it, kind of scared to jump into it. And so then I started to talk myself into like all the positives, all the things that I'm gonna do. And then I visualized myself jumping, and that's when I press my first step. Every single time I press. That is what I do. And it works for me, so. Whatever works for you. Do it, do whatever it is.
get into a routine. I think the biggest thing is if you get into a routine. When I do my best, I do my prospecting right away in the morning, 9 to 11. It is my time where I get the least interruptions, because I've built an entire life around being accountable to just a couple of hours. And then when I get out of it for a day, a week, a month, right, 2-3 months, I notice my productivity goes down. I don't make as much money. Our leads drop. And so it's like, I'm crabby, I get heavy because I eat too much because I'm stressed out. So you really have to focus on just that little bit of time that you can control. Stop trying to control everything and just control a couple of things. All right, make it a great week. We have to
Feel
log.
free to reach out if you ever have any questions. That's for you, Scott. If you ever need anything, let us know.
Okay,